If you're like most real estate professionals, you didn't get into the business thinking, man, I'm really hoping I got a lot of time constraints. I hope there's someone lording over me, yelling at me about my calendar. No, you probably didn't get into the business with the thought. However, my question to you is this: if you're not in control of your calendar, who is? This segment's all about time blocking, but some of the precursors that I think we're going to be able to establish in order for you to set up better time blocking habits. Let's get started. So the first up is who the heck's in charge of you? Who's in charge? You ain't the boss of me. Well, no, I'm not the boss of you, but I hope you're the boss of you. And one of the ways that we can keep ourselves accountable within the framework for getting our tasks done within a timely manner means that we're allocating time to get our stuff done on a calendar. Now, I coach lots of people across the country, and it's always a problem. I don't have enough time. I don't have time. Here is what I want you to start doing with regards to your initial time blocking. You might have failed at time blocking 1,000 times, and that's okay because it's progress. So what I want you to do in 1001 is don't think about time blocking any longer. I want you to just wrap it up in a bow and set it aside for a little bit. What I want you to do is start journaling. I want you to start journaling. Dear diary, I hate time blocking. And so journaling is kind of the act of documenting the current state of anything, right? And today we're going to document the current state of your time allocation. And here's what I want you to commit to. At the end of the day, I just want you to open up your calendar and I want you to write down the things that you did and approximately when you did them and how long it may have taken you to get that done. So, and it doesn't matter to me what it is. I just don't care. If you've established regular working hours, which you should already establish that, regular working hours, let's say it's between 9 and 5, that's novel. And that means that you're available to take calls, you're available to make calls, you're available to show homes, set appointments. It's your normal hours. You can always work outside those hours, but I want you to establish normal hours. And so at the end of the day, 5 o'clock, 4:30, I want you to stop and assess and take a look at what did you do today. And then I want you to go back in time and I want you to backfit those activities from the day. I want you to journal. I want you to keep a diary. And the key here is you really just need to really be honest with yourself. Don't end up in a spirit of psychological condemnation. I don't care what you did. It's not important. What you did's not important at this time. What's important is that you can honestly assess and write it down. Objective, third party, administrative, right? Brush my teeth, 6:30 in the morning, took a shower. Maybe you're that granular in your detail, maybe not, but maybe the first thing you recognize is got up and got ready for work, got up and got dressed, and that went from 7:15 to 8:15, and then I sat down, I was ready to work at 9 o'clock. So there's a gap of 45 minutes between 8:15 and 9 o'clock. That's fine. I don't care. I just want you to make a general idea. When did you actually sit down and start working? Now, here's the thing. Let's say you didn't sit down at 9 o'clock. Let's say you didn't really do anything. Let's say you didn't go into the office. I don't care. Write it down. Write it down. Because it's impossible for you to change. Well, it's very difficult for you to change your current behavior if you're not at least aware of your current behavior. And the easiest way is really just to write it down and then take a look at it. Again, this is not done in a spirit of screwing with your mind. Oh, you're lazy, blah, blah, blah. I will tell you this, at the end of the day, if you look back on your calendar and you have all this white space and you didn't actually write anything down in advance of that day, and you feel like you're busy all day, but you really don't have anything to show for your efforts, it's going to be kind of difficult to do an analysis of how did you spend your day. And as you spent your day, as you went through time, was it adding to the value of your day or was it not adding to the value of the day? Were you participating in a lot of distractions? So, okay, number one, journaling, do it administrative mindset. I don't care exactly what happens. I just want you to write it down. I want you to see if you can commit to doing this for 2 weeks. Okay, number two, and I've already alluded to it, and that is you kind of have to establish core working hours. Now, it's not just so much a matter of establish, like what does the word establish mean? Establishing core working hours has a few components. Number one, hey, it's mechanical. I start work at 9 and I work till 5. That's it. Those are my core working hours. Now, the next part of that is you better tell somebody about it. And that is, if you live alone, hey, not a problem. But if you're in some kind of a relationship, if you've got kids, a husband, a wife, spouse, all these things, you're going to have to share with these people in your world what your core working hours are. Because if you don't put some sort of a standard out there and say, hey, you know what, I know I work from home, or I know I'm in the home office, but my core working hours are from, 8 o'clock in the morning until noon, and I take a 1 hour break, and then I go from 1 o'clock to 4 or 1 o'clock to 4:30. And so if you don't establish this pattern with people outside of you, then you're not going to be able to even remotely enforce this type of thing inside your own head. Because if you are not respecting your own time, no one else is going to respect your time either. And so you're going to get interrupted. And so I know it's really convenient to work from home or a home office, but there's also nearly unlimited things that can distract you from being productive. And some of this is the people that you live with in your house. And some of it is just you don't want to do it. And so you'll find other things to avoid doing it. Established core working hours is not just establishing them on your calendar, but it's establishing a minimum performance standard that you're going to share with someone else out there that's going to hold you accountable to your core working hours. Hey, shouldn't you be at work? Yeah, well, I just thought I'd lay down on the couch and watch the Beverly Hillbillies reruns for 5 hours. You can, so long as you time blocked for it and you've allocated time, then that's fine. So that's number two. Number two is establish core working hours and have an accountability partner in that exercise. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for you to stay on task. Number three, and I've already alluded to this as well, and that is stop and assess. At the end of the day, when you're writing down the things that you did over these last 2 days, and you do that for a couple of weeks, I want you to stop and assess. Take a look at how much time it took you to do certain things. What you're going to find 9 times out of 10 is that you're spending a lot more time doing things that you didn't think were going to take that much time, ultimately ended up taking a lot more time than you thought. And it could be super simple, like, well, gosh, I was going to do some prospecting, and I made phone calls for an hour to try to connect with my past database, and I also did some CMAs, and I emailed out some CMAs. And so my question is, okay, great. How long did you do that? Oh, gosh, I did it for 2 hours. Okay, well, how many people did you actually talk to, and how many CMAs did you actually send out? And this is where it gets complicated, because you're like, man, gosh, I did that for 2 hours. It seemed like I should have got more than 10 or 15. Well, yeah, you probably could get more than 10 or 15 in 2 hours. But until you start documenting what your current production level is and how many hours it takes certain tasks to get done, then it's going to be almost impossible for you to measure that stuff or predict it going forward. And so, if you allocate, I'm going to allocate 2 hours a week for sending out CMAs on past clients and making phone calls, and I have a standard, and okay, well, I know it takes me 2 hours. Gosh, you know what? Maybe I really need 4 hours a week to do this. Maybe what I should do is kind of maybe break this up into 3 sessions or 4 sessions, because if you don't identify the amount of time it takes to get certain minimum tasks done, then this is a big place where we're going to fail when it comes to time blocking, because we have an expectation that it's going to take us a certain amount of time to do something that takes longer. And then when we miss it, kind of that failure mentality gets reinforced, and we think, man, this isn't working. Geez, I don't know what to do. So number 3 is stop and assess and measure how much time is it really taking me to do a specific task that I know that I have to get done. And that's another big part of stop and assess. How many things are you doing during your day that are non-negotiable things you have to do? And as far as I'm concerned, it's prospecting is non-negotiable. Following up on people that we currently have under contract, non-negotiable, right? These are couple of non-negotiable things we have to allocate time every day for. Okay, the fourth and final thing when it comes to this precursor to really doing your time blocking, you have to have a willingness to change. You've got a willingness to let go of some of your bad habits because you're going to adopt new habits as you start going forward from this point forward. Let's talk about the tools that you already have in place. You should have 2 weeks of assessment of, gosh, you know what, I did a thing and I wrote it down. I did a thing and I wrote it down. I did a thing and I wrote it down. Now, some of the things that we've done in the past are important, and we're going to have to do them in the future. So what we're doing is the gap between journaling and then time blocking really is just about forecasting time. I'm recording the past, and then at some point I'm going to start shifting a little bit and say, well, today is Monday, and I prospected for an hour. Great. What I want you to do is next Monday, allocate an hour for prospecting. All you're doing is you're taking your sequence of journaling, and what you're doing is what are the things that I did in the recent past that were in support of my business goals? What are the things that I did? You're going to find that there's going to be a pattern that emerges, particularly if you journal for a full month before you do this exercise. You're going to find that there are certain times of the day where you just, man, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I just hit a wall and I've got to go take a break and go for a walk the dog, do whatever I'm going to do. You'll start identifying these patterns. And when you do, don't fight them, just time block around them. I know that I'm really good from 8:30 to about 11:30, and then I kind of get bored. I hit the wall and so I'm going to time block a 2-hour lunch. Now, is that okay to take a 2-hour lunch? Yes, it's totally okay, because here's the truth. The truth is, if you look at these labor boards and labor statistics for the U.S. and the people start doing how many productive hours did you actually work, like a salaried or an hourly employee might be at work 40 hours a week, but they don't have 40 productive hours. I think the number is like below 6. So the people are dramatically less productive than they would normally assume. And it doesn't matter if someone else is paying you or if you're self-employed. Here, the bittersweet truth is we're not as productive as we think we are. And that's okay. Just get over that hurdle. We're taking our past journaling and we're going to start advancing it into the future. What do I know that I have to do? I know I have to prospect. I know I have to contact people that I'm currently under contract with. I know that I have to identify the people that I'm going to be contracting with very soon, and that's 30, 60, 90 days or 6 months. Who are the people in my database that I need to be talking to that are going to contract in 6 months? If I don't know who those people are, guess what? I need to identify them. I'm going to time block up. You know what? I should probably make those phone calls every Tuesday from, 9 o'clock to maybe 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock. And then you're like, oh gosh, you know what? I work in 5 time zones. And so maybe what I'll do is I'll call North America here, and then I'll call people on the East Coast in this time. And so you'll start getting a rhythm. Here's the most important thing that I can tell you about all these precursors to being a rigid time blocker. It doesn't start out in a rigid or disciplined way. But if you try to go against your natural proclivities, then it's just not gonna last. It's not gonna take. It's not gonna be sustainable. Like always, there's a bunch of information packed in these 10 or 15 minute videos that I do. If you have any questions or if you need any help, please just get on my calendar and book 15 minutes. I look forward to helping you in any way that I can, and particularly around time blocking, because it happens to be one of my favorite topics. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.